Welcome back to Midnight Affair Tales. Thank you for joining us. The words slipped out before I could stop them. I married you solely to spite my ex. The air in the dimly lit bedroom froze. Mark, my husband, the man who had been nothing but kind, stable, and unwavering, stood across from me staring. His grip on the dresser tightened just slightly, his knuckles whitening. I had imagined this moment playing out 100 different ways. Maybe he would yell. Maybe he would throw something. Maybe he would demand to know why. But he didn't. He just stood there, silent. I had expected a reaction, but this was something worse. Did you hear me? My voice cracked, suddenly unsure. Mark, But before I could even complete the explanation, before I could offer my twisted reasoning, he moved. Not toward me. Not in rage. Just away. He turned, walked to the closet, and calmly pulled out a suitcase that was already packed. Already packed. My stomach twisted. What are you doing? Still no words from him. He zipped up the bag, reached for his keys, and with slow, deliberate steps, he walked right past me. A cold chill ran through my veins. Mark, say something. Please. I reached out, grabbing his arm, but he shook me off as if my touch disgusted him. His eyes, which once held warmth, now looked through me like I was nothing. I opened my mouth to explain, to justify, to beg. But the front door opened, and then it closed, and he was gone. Just like that. I stood in the silent house, my pulse pounding in my ears, my breath shallow and uneven. The confession that I thought would set me free had just trapped me in something far, far worse. Because Mark didn't yell. Mark didn't beg. Mark didn't even ask why. He just walked out. And that scared me more than anything. Why didn't he even let me finish? The next morning, I woke up to an eerie stillness in the house. No sound of the coffee machine brewing, no quiet hum of Mark scrolling through his phone at the dining table. Just silence. I grabbed my phone and hesitated before calling him. Straight to voicemail. Not a single message from him. Something felt off. Mark was never dramatic. He wasn't the kind of man to pull a stunt or ghost someone. Even when we fought in the past, he would at least say something. But now, it was like he had vanished. I swallowed the lump in my throat and forced myself to check the bedroom closet. My stomach dropped. Half of his clothes were gone. Not thrown around. Not in a rush. Neatly taken. Planned. I grabbed my car keys and sped to his office. Maybe he needed time to cool off. Maybe he would just... Mark wasn't there. His assistant looked confused when I asked for him. He took a leave of absence. Effective immediately. I blinked. Since when? She tilted her head. Since yesterday afternoon. Yesterday afternoon. Before my confession. A strange chill crept up my spine. Mark was already leaving before I told him the truth? He had planned to disappear before I even got the words out? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my bank app, and that's when the real terror hit me. My joint accounts, the ones Mark handled, were empty. Every last dollar. Gone. My hands shook as I stared at my bank balance, the empty accounts burning a hole through my screen. I had been so sure that Mark was the safe choice, the stable option. The husband I could control. But this wasn't the reaction of a heartbroken man. This wasn't the response of someone who just found out his marriage was a lie. This was a man who had been planning something all along. I dialed his number again. Straight to voicemail. My head pounded. I had to find him. I had to explain. Maybe I had pushed him too far. Maybe he just needed space. Maybe. A sharp knock on my front door made me jump. I rushed to open it, praying it was Mark. Instead, I was greeted by a tall, suited man holding an envelope. Jessica Carter? I hesitated. Yes. The man handed me the envelope and nodded. You've been served? My stomach flipped. Served? Served with what? With trembling fingers, I tore open the envelope, my eyes scanning the first few lines. Divorce papers. My knees nearly buckled. But that wasn't the worst part. No, the worst part was the small handwritten note Mark had slipped inside. A note that made my breath hitch. You destroyed this marriage first. Now it's my turn. My blood ran cold. Mark wasn't just leaving. He was coming for everything. I stood frozen at the door, the divorce papers clenched in my shaking hands. The world around me blurred, the ink on the page smearing as my fingers tightened around the crisp paper. I had always been the one in control. I was the one who held the power in my relationships. Mark was supposed to be the safe option, the one who would never leave, never betray me. Yet here I was, blindsided. I tried calling him again. Voicemail. I needed to see him. I needed to explain. I needed to fix this. I didn't even bother changing out of my wrinkled clothes before grabbing my car keys and driving to the one place I thought I could find him. Our favorite upscale restaurant, the Clover Room. Mark had always loved that place, and we had a standing reservation every Friday night. Even after our fights, even when things were tense, we never skipped it. Maybe, just maybe, he would still be there waiting for me. But when I walked in, it wasn't Mark sitting alone at our usual table. It was Mark sitting with another woman. And not just any woman, Charlotte Montgomery. Blonde. Elegant. The kind of woman who oozed old money class and had the perfect trophy wife look. The kind of woman Mark never seemed interested in before. The maitre d' gave me a hesitant glance, recognizing me immediately. But I didn't care. I stormed forward, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Mark? My voice was sharp, barely holding back the wave of rage and humiliation rising in my chest. He looked up slowly. Calm. Amused even. As if he had been expecting me to come storming in like a desperate fool. Charlotte glanced at me, then back at Mark, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. I see you got my note, Mark said coolly, lifting his glass of whiskey to his lips. I wanted to scream. I wanted to slap that smug expression off his face. But instead I gritted my teeth. You don't waste any time, do you? Mark leaned back in his chair, studying me with cold detachment. Neither did you. The words sliced deeper than I wanted to admit. People were watching now. I could feel their eyes on me, whispering, judging. Charlotte tilted her head, feigning sympathy. Oh, Jessica. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. I told Mark it was too soon, but she trailed off with a soft shrug. Like she had won. Like this was some kind of game. Mark never liked women like Charlotte. He always told me he preferred real women, ones who weren't manufactured by wealth and privilege. But now, he was sitting here, toasting a divorce I didn't even know was coming. The humiliation burned in my veins. I had played Mark. And now, he was playing me. I refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. I straightened my spine, plastering on the coldest smile I could muster. You think this is funny, Mark? His lips curled into something almost dangerous. No. I think it's justice. The words were like a punch to the gut. I had expected anger. I had expected pain. I hadn't expected revenge. Mark lifted his phone, tapped the screen, and then slid it across the table toward me. I glanced down. My stomach dropped. Photos. Screenshots. Bank statements. Proof of everything. My affair with Ryan, late-night texts, call logs, hotel receipts. My hidden account, the one I had been funneling money into just in case I ever needed to leave. Conversations with my best friend, Laura, where I had mocked Mark for being too safe, too predictable, too easy to manipulate. I could barely breathe. How did he get all this? Mark's voice was dangerously soft. I spent 6 years building a life with you, Jessica. 6 years thinking I was the luckiest man alive. And the entire time, you were lying to me. I swallowed hard, trying to find my voice. Mark, Save it. He cut me off. You wanted a game, Jessica? He leaned forward, his blue eyes dark with something far more dangerous than anger. Let's play. And with that, he took back his phone, grabbed Charlotte's hand, and left the restaurant, leaving me completely exposed. I was losing control. And Mark wasn't just leaving me. He was coming for me. What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? I barely slept that night. I kept staring at my phone, waiting for Mark to text, to call, to say something that would give me an opening to fix this. Nothing. The silence was worse than yelling. By morning, I was convinced things couldn't get any worse. I was wrong. It started when I arrived at work. The moment I stepped into my office, I felt it, the shift in the air, the way people avoided my gaze. Then my boss called me in. Jessica, he said, clasping his hands together. There's something we need to discuss. He turned his laptop around. And there it was. An email. Sent anonymously. An exposé on me, detailing my affair, my financial schemes, and even my personal texts mocking my own husband. I felt the blood drain from my face. I don't know who sent this, my boss said carefully. But given the nature of it, the board is reviewing your position here. No. I had worked too hard for this job. My career was mine. My escape plan. Mark had cut me off financially, but I still had my career. And now, he was taking that too. I stumbled out of the office, my vision blurring, my breaths coming in short gasps. I pulled out my phone and dialed Mark. Straight to voicemail. I clenched my fist, shaking with rage. Mark thought he could just destroy me? He thought I would go down without a fight? Fine. If it's war he wants, then war he'll get. I gripped my phone so hard I thought it might shatter. Mark had sent that email. Who else would have? Who else had the motive, the access, the cold, calculated patience to wait until I was vulnerable before delivering the perfect strike? I wasn't just losing him. I was losing everything. I stormed out of the office building, my heels clicking hard against the pavement as I dialed Mark's number again. Voicemail. Again. I gritted my teeth, scrolling through my contacts until I landed on Laura. My best friend. My confidant. The person who had been there through my affair with Ryan, the one I had trusted with my deepest secrets. She picked up on the third ring. Jessica? Her voice was cautious. Too cautious. I didn't like it. Did you see the email? I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. A long pause. Yeah. I squeezed my eyes shut, inhaling deeply. Okay. She was still my friend. She wouldn't turn on me. Mark sent it, I spat. He's trying to destroy me. Another pause. Then a sigh. Jessica, maybe you should just let it go. My stomach turned. What? Look, she continued, you did cheat on him. You did manipulate him. Maybe this is his way of getting closure. I felt like I had been slapped. This was Laura, my best friend. The woman who had encouraged my affair with Ryan, who had sat across from me in countless wine bars, laughing about how Mark was too predictable, too soft, too easy. And now she was switching sides? You think I deserve this? I whispered, my throat tightening. I think, Laura hesitated. I think Mark was always the good guy, Jessica. And maybe you finally pushed him too far. I couldn't breathe. Laura was defending Mark. Before I could respond, she added, look, I have to go. And then click. The call dropped. I stood there, gripping my phone, feeling something shift inside me. This wasn't just about Mark anymore. He had turned everyone against me. He wanted to take everything? Fine. Now I was going to take something from him. Mark thought I was weak. Mark thought I would roll over, accept my punishment, and let him ruin me. He was wrong. He had money. He had power. But I had something more dangerous. I had nothing left to lose. I drove straight to the one person who could help me fight back. Ryan? Yes, my ex. The man who started all of this. The man I had wrecked my marriage for. If anyone could help me get inside Mark's head, it was him. I pulled into the driveway of his luxury condo, barely registering the sleek sports cars parked out front. My pulse hammered in my ears as I rang the doorbell. A few seconds later, the door opened. And there he was. Ryan Caldwell. Still gorgeous. Still smug. Still looking at me like he knew exactly how much control he had over me. I hated that a small part of me still reacted to him. Well, he smirked. Didn't expect to see you here. I pushed past him into the apartment. I need your help. Ryan arched a brow. Trouble in paradise? I spun to face him, crossing my arms. Mark is ruining me. He's cutting me off, sabotaging my job, my reputation, everything. Ryan studied me for a moment, then exhaled, rubbing his jaw. He shrugged. You did screw him over? I clenched my fist. Not him too. Jesus Christ, Ryan. You told me to leave him. You told me I deserved better. And now you're standing here acting like I had this coming? Ryan sighed. Look, I didn't expect Mark to fight back. I thought he'd just take it. Well, he's not, I snapped. And now I need to hit him first? Ryan hesitated. Then something dark and amused flickered in his eyes. You want revenge? I swallowed hard. Yes. His smirk returned. Then let's destroy him. Ryan was dangerous in all the right ways. Unlike Mark, he didn't have a moral compass. He played dirty. And that's exactly what I needed. We sat in his living room, drinking whiskey as he ran a hand through his dark hair, thinking. Mark's careful, Ryan mused. He wouldn't be doing this unless he had a plan. But everyone has a weakness. I swallowed my drink. Then we find his. Ryan smirked. I already know where to start. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his messages before tossing it to me. I frowned, picking it up. The screen displayed a conversation. With Charlotte Montgomery. My breath hitched. She's been texting me for weeks, Ryan said. Looks like Little Miss Perfect isn't as devoted to Mark as she pretends to be. My pulse quickened. Was she cheating on Mark? Ryan's smirk widened. Mark thinks he's untouchable. But if we can prove Charlotte is playing him, we can humiliate him the way he's humiliating you. I stared at the screen, my mind racing. If Mark was so determined to ruin me, maybe it was time to return the favor. Maybe it was time to destroy him first. If Mark wanted war, he was about to get one. I stared at Charlotte's name on Ryan's phone, my mind racing with possibilities. She had been flirting with Ryan behind Mark's back, which meant she wasn't as loyal as she pretended to be. I took a deep breath and met Ryan's gaze. We need proof? Ryan smirked, twirling his whiskey glass between his fingers. Already ahead of you. He tapped on his phone, showing me screenshots of their texts. Charlotte, I think about you sometimes. I can't help it. Ryan, you should come over. No one has to know. Charlotte, not yet. But soon. My lips curled. This was exactly what I needed. Mark thought he had the upper hand, thought he could humiliate me, turn my friends against me, and leave me with nothing. But if I could expose Charlotte before he realized what was happening, I could flip the entire game. What's the plan? Ryan asked, watching me closely. I met his gaze, my mind already working. We push her. My voice was sharp, decisive. Make her slip. If she thinks you're interested, she'll chase you. And when she does? I smiled coldly. We make sure Mark sees it. Ryan's grin widened. Damn, I forgot how ruthless you could be. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was survival. The next 2 days, Ryan and I played Charlotte like a game of chess. He started texting her more, teasing just enough interest to make her want more. Charlotte, you're trouble. Ryan, and you like trouble, don't you? She ate it up. I could already tell, she wanted out of whatever arrangement she had with Mark. She wanted Ryan. And that was exactly what we needed. The key was setting the perfect trap. We arranged a fake chance encounter, one that would seem completely accidental to Charlotte. Ryan invited her to a private bar downtown, one I knew Mark would never step foot in. A place where Charlotte would feel safe letting her guard down. Then I made sure Mark would find out about it. A little anonymous message. A hint of doubt planted in his mind. That was all it would take. By the time Friday night arrived, the plan was set. I sat in my car, my heart pounding as I watched from a distance. Through the bar window, I saw Charlotte lean into Ryan, her manicured hand grazing his arm. And just as planned, Mark walked in. He stopped mid-step, his eyes locking onto the scene. His jaw clenched. His shoulders tensed. A storm brewing beneath his expression. Charlotte, unaware, laughed at something Ryan said, her body language screaming flirtation. Mark's fists curled at his sides. He had taken everything from me. Now he was about to taste his own medicine. I leaned back in my seat, a victorious smirk on my lips. Checkmate, Mark. Or so I thought. Because just as I was about to enjoy my win, my phone buzzed. A single message. From Mark. Nice try, Jessica. But you're playing a game you don't understand. My blood ran cold. How the hell did he know? Panic clawed at my chest as I reread Mark's message. How did he know? How did he see this coming? I looked back into the bar, expecting to see him storming toward Charlotte and Ryan. But instead he was smiling. Freaking smiling. Like he had won. I gritted my teeth, my fingers flying over my phone. Jessica, you're bluffing. 3 dots appeared. Then his response. Mark, am I? My throat tightened. Something wasn't right. Then my phone buzzed again. Another text. This time, from Laura. Laura, Jessica, you need to leave. No. What the hell? I typed back furiously. Jessica, what's going on? No response. I looked back at the bar, my heartbeat hammering. Ryan was still laughing, Charlotte was still playing her role, and Mark was gone. My stomach twisted. I barely had time to process what was happening before my phone buzzed one last time. A message. A photo attachment. I clicked on it. And then, I felt my entire world collapse. It was a picture. A picture of Ryan and me. From months ago. In bed. In the same hotel I thought was a secret. And the caption beneath it? You thought I wouldn't find out? You were wrong. Game over, Jessica. My breath hitched. Mark hadn't just known. He had been waiting for this moment. I wasn't the one setting a trap. I was walking straight into his. My hands shook as I stared at the picture on my phone. It was over. Mark had everything: proof of my affair, proof that I had betrayed him long before he started his revenge. And now, he was about to destroy me. I scrambled out of my car, pushing through the crowd outside the bar, searching for him. My breath came in ragged gasps, my mind spinning in panic. But Mark was gone. I turned to Ryan, still inside, still laughing with Charlotte, completely oblivious to the fact that we had just lost. I stormed up to him, grabbing his arm. "We need to go. Now." Ryan frowned. "What the hell, Jess?" I shoved my phone in his face. "Look." His smirk vanished. His entire body tensed. "Shit. Yeah. Shit." I didn't wait for him to react. I grabbed his hand and dragged him outside, my heart slamming against my ribs. I needed to think, to get ahead of this, to figure out. Ding. My phone buzzed again. Another message. But this time it wasn't just sent to me. It was sent to everyone. "Mark, since my wife decided to lie for years, I think it's only fair that the truth comes out." Attached? The same picture. But this time it wasn't just in my inbox. It was posted. Publicly. Every single person in our social circle got it. My coworkers. My friends. My family. The caption? "The woman I married. The woman I trusted. The woman who destroyed everything." I felt the blood drain from my face. Ryan muttered a curse under his breath. "He's going nuclear." No. He already had. My phone exploded with messages. Calls. Missed notifications. Everything was spiraling. Fast. The first call I answered was from my mother. "Jessica." Her voice was icy cold. "What the hell have you done?" I opened my mouth to respond, but she cut me off. "You lied to us. To everyone. And now the whole damn world knows about it. How could you be so?" I hung up. I couldn't deal with this. Not now. Ryan pulled at his hair, pacing. "This is bad. This is really bad." "No shit," I snapped. "We have to get ahead of this." I tried calling Mark. Straight to voicemail. Ryan was still staring at the picture. Why the hell would he wait until now? And then it hit me. This wasn't just revenge. This was punishment. Mark hadn't wanted to hurt me immediately. He wanted to watch me unravel first. He wanted me to think I had a chance to fight back, only to rip it away at the last second. I felt a sharp pang of nausea. Ryan exhaled, shaking his head. "This is career-ending, Jess." I turned to him sharply. "You don't have anything to lose." Ryan gave me a look that told me everything I needed to know. He was already planning to jump ship. And that's when I knew I was completely alone. I woke up the next morning to the worst possible news. I had been fired. The official email from my company was filled with legal jargon, but the message was clear. "Due to recent revelations, we have decided to sever all professional ties." Effective immediately, I had lost my job, my income. My reputation was shattered. I had nothing left. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the screen, feeling like the ground had completely vanished beneath me. Mark had taken everything. He hadn't just left me. He had made sure I would never recover. And the worst part? He wasn't done. Because just as I started to process my new reality, my phone buzzed one more time. Another message. From Mark. "Mark, I hope you're enjoying the destruction you started. Because this? Mark, this is only the beginning. How much further can she fall? And is there anything left for her to fight for?" I sat motionless on my bed, Mark's latest message burning into my mind. This is only the beginning? I had already lost my job. My money. My reputation. What the hell else could he take? I stared at my phone, waiting for the next blow. Something worse was coming. I could feel it in my bones. And I didn't have to wait long. Ding. A new email notification. Subject: Urgent, apartment lease termination. My stomach dropped as I opened it. Jessica Carter. Due to recent circumstances and per the morality clause in your lease, we regret to inform you that your tenancy has been terminated effective immediately. You are required to vacate the premises within 48 hours. Sincerely, management. I choked on a breath. No, no, no. I reread the email, my hands shaking. Mark did this. It wasn't enough for him to destroy my career. Now he was making me homeless. I shot up from the bed and grabbed my phone, dialing his number. Voicemail. Again. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to hold back the wave of panic. I had no job, no savings, and now no place to live. How the hell had he done this? And more importantly, What was I supposed to do now? I spent the next hour calling every contact I had left. Most of them didn't answer. The ones who did? They either made excuses or outright told me they wanted nothing to do with me. Laura ignored my calls. My old boss said it was best if we didn't speak. Even my own parents told me I had embarrassed them. I was truly alone. By the time I arrived at Ryan's place, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely knock. When he opened the door, his expression immediately told me everything. He wasn't going to help me. I pushed past him into his condo anyway. You need to let me stay here. Ryan sighed, rubbing his temple. Jessica, you know I can't. I spun on him, my eyes burning. You were fine with using me when it was convenient. But now that I need you, you're backing off? He exhaled sharply. Look, it's not personal. I laughed bitterly. It's not personal? Ryan hesitated, then said the words that made my stomach turn to ice. Mark got to me. I stilled. What? Ryan looked away. He made it clear that if I helped you, I'd go down too. He has proof I knew about the affair. The money you took from your joint accounts, he linked it back to me. He's making it look like I helped you scam him. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. Mark wasn't just destroying me. He was making sure that anyone who tried to help me paid for it too. Ryan's voice softened. I can't afford to go down with you. I shook my head, stepping back, my heart hammering. You're scared of him. Ryan's jaw tightened. You should be too. I stared at him for a long, tense moment. Then, without another word, I turned and walked out the door. I had nowhere left to go. No allies. No safety net. Mark had burned my life down to the ground. And yet, I wasn't done. Because if Mark wanted to play this game until the bitter end, I was finally ready to break the rules. The next morning, I woke up in the back seat of my car. I had nothing left but a half-dead phone, a crumpled pile of eviction papers, and a name that had been dragged through the dirt. Mark had done what no one else ever could. He had beaten me. I sat there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of every choice I had made. And then, I smiled. Because if Mark thought I was done fighting, he was dead wrong. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was war. Mark thinks he's won. But Jessica is about to break every rule. And this time she has nothing left to lose. The sun had barely risen and I was already wide awake, sitting in the back seat of my car, running through every single mistake I had made. Mark had been 10 steps ahead this entire time. He had cut me off, ruined my job, and turned everyone against me. But if there was one thing I knew about Mark, it was this: he had secrets too. And I was done playing fair. I pulled out my phone, my fingers shaking as I typed the only message that mattered now. Jessica, we need to meet. You owe me. A few seconds passed. Then the response came. Unknown number. This is a bad idea. Jessica so was screwing me over. 9 p.m. The old warehouse on 5th. Don't make me wait. I exhaled, my grip tightening around my phone. If Mark thought he was untouchable, he was about to learn that no one, gets away without consequences. The warehouse was dark, abandoned. Dust and the scent of rust filled the air. I leaned against an old table, my heart pounding as I waited. Then footsteps. A shadow moved near the entrance. And finally he stepped into the light. Not Mark. Ryan. I crossed my arms, masking my anger. Took you long enough? Ryan kept his expression blank. I shouldn't be here. I smirked. But you are. His jaw clenched. What do you want? I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. A video started playing. Ryan's face drained of color. He recognized it immediately. Charlotte. In his bed. On camera. Taken from a hidden angle. His voice came out sharp. Where the hell did you get this? I tilted my head. Doesn't matter. What matters is that if Mark sees this, he'll destroy you. And we both know how much he loves public humiliation. Ryan took a step closer, his eyes dark with anger. Are you blackmailing me? I smiled. Call it leverage. He stared at me, breathing hard, then exhaled sharply. What do you want? I took a slow step forward. Mark's secrets. The ones he doesn't want anyone to know. Ryan hesitated. And then he cracked. His voice was low, almost reluctant. There's something. But if you use it, there's no coming back. I leaned in, my pulse racing. Good, I whispered. Because I wasn't coming back from this anyway. Jessica now has a weapon against Mark. But is she ready to use it? Ryan hesitated before speaking. Mark isn't as clean as he pretends to be, he muttered. He has offshore accounts, hidden money, and some of it? It's not legal. I stilled. He continued, rubbing a hand over his jaw. I don't know everything, but I know he's been funneling money through shell companies. If the right people find out? Ryan exhaled. He won't just lose his reputation, he'll lose everything. I processed his words, my mind spinning. Mark had built his entire life on control, on being the perfect, polished man. But this was the kind of secret that could bury him. Ryan narrowed his eyes at me. If you go after him like this, he won't stop until you're destroyed. I smirked. He already did that? I turned away, my heart hammering. I had one shot at taking Mark down, and I wasn't going to miss. I stood there watching Mark walk away. No yelling, no threats, no last attempt to destroy me. Just silence. It should have felt like victory. I had taken everything from him just like he had done to me. We were even now, right? Then why did I feel empty? I had spent so much time fighting, clawing my way back from the ruins he left me in. But now that I had won, there was nothing left. The world moved on without us. The media tore him apart. Investigations started. His former business partners cut ties, and within a week he resigned from his company. Charlotte disappeared. Ryan did too. And me? I was still sleeping in my car. Because winning didn't mean I had a life to go back to. I walked through the city aimlessly, my hands deep in my coat pockets, my mind spinning. No one cared that Mark had ruined me first. All they saw was the woman who exposed him. I was still unemployable, unwanted, alone. And for what? A brief moment of satisfaction? A hollow victory? I thought revenge would fix everything. But in reality, it just left me as empty as him. That's when I realized I had been so focused on destroying him that I forgot to rebuild myself. I didn't just burn his life to the ground. I burned my own. And now all that was left were ashes. Months passed. Mark's scandal faded from the news. People forgot. The world moved on. And me? I finally let go. I stopped looking over my shoulder, waiting for his retaliation. There was none. Mark never contacted me again. It was over. I got a new job. Nothing special, but it was mine. I saved up. I found a small apartment. I built something for myself. Because at the end of the day, revenge doesn't fix what's broken. It just spreads the damage. If I could do it all over again, would I? I don't know. But I do know this. Winning doesn't always mean you walk away whole. And that's something no one ever tells you. Final words, the moral of the story. Revenge is never as satisfying as you think. Destroying someone else won't fix what's broken inside you. Sometimes the best revenge is walking away and rebuilding your own life. Now I ask you, would you have done what Jessica did? Was her revenge worth it? Or did she go too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the story.